Well, we can start. One of the goals of obviously Tribe Global is to be able to have a lot of moments of sharing. And I know in between the global meetings that we're able to have where we collaborate in person, which are wonderful, I think it's important to really focus on the creative and then as well as technology and that hacker's mindset, if you will, is very important to how we need to look at marketing. And so I've got 4 people here today that have volunteered to share. What is that like? How are we using technology in a different way? And I'm excited to start. So we're going to start with Adriaan, start with Adriaan, then go to Misha, then Grzegorz from Hagen, and then Rune from Mensch. And so we'll be excited. I think everyone, the goal here is not necessarily a sales pitch, but it is, here's how we solved a problem with tech, and to get everyone in their wheels grinding and wheels turning and spinning around ideas for your customers. So, Ian, how are you?
Very good. Nice to be here.
I needed a little bit of the Scottish accent today. That's exactly what I needed. I was missing that. So thank you.
You've got a bit of Scottish accent then.
Yeah, there we go. Adriaan, do you want to fire it up and get us started?
Yeah, for sure. Let me just share this tab.
A little bit of the way we're going to do this is the presentation's around 15 minutes, and we have 5 minutes of questions following each presenter. And then at the very end, we'll have some time for questions as well. So feel free to throw questions in the chat after each presenter.
Yeah. I've noticed in testing this that when I go full screen with this, it kind of slows everything down. So I'm just going to present like this. I'll also share my slides afterwards. So if there's anybody that wants that, you can have it. So hi, I'm Adriaan from Bridgeneers. And I brought this case here for interactivity, which is an organization that is the hub for all of the waste management companies throughout Flanders in Belgium. And we use tech in a creative way to inspire people, but mainly to highlight some issues in the system. So what was our challenge here? Well, waste collectors are highly underappreciated. They work from very early hours and they work very physically challenging work. They have to lift, they have to run, they have to deal with all kinds of unexpected situations, often dangerous situations as well, often very dirty situations. And they're highly subjected to abuse by motor vehicle operators, etc., because they slow down traffic, they are sometimes sloppy in their work, etc. All of these factors make it so that they are very underappreciated in our society, but they do deliver a highly valuable work to society as well. So we kind of wanted to tackle that and give them the spotlight that they deserve. And we've been doing this for several years now. By launching the Week of the Waste Management Team, basically to show appreciation for everybody who takes care of your waste because you don't want to do that yourself. The solution we went with for this specific year is to show the effort that they had in that they deliver every week or every day in another context. So everybody is kind of very far away from the context of waste management and waste collection itself. You just drop your bin or drop your bag outside and that's it. But if we couple it to a different context, the sports context, we can see that sports heroes are revered figures. We all look up to them. And actually, waste collectors perform feats that are worthy of top-level athletes. And to prove that, you kind of have to show the work. So what we did was place them in this situation where we would compare them or compare their efforts with top-level athletes. So what the hell does that have to do with tech? I hear you all asking, why are you pitching me a creative? Because we made something that visualizes that. And we kind of went a high-tech route with this. And I know that this might look very 90s. And you all might be thinking, oh, you made a dashboard. Congratulations. We can all do that. We all have Google Data Studio. That's fine. But we kind of did this, which is we hooked up a massive screen to a waste collection truck. We 3D modeled 2 waste collection workers, and we monitored them for a week using health tracking devices, and we live monitored that onto that screen. So the setup is 2 waste collection workers. They each wear a Fitbit during their shift for an entire week. And we monitored their steps, their speed, the calories, the heart rate, the total distance that they covered. And this activity was visualized live throughout their shift for everyone to see. And of course, for us to make a very cool video, which I'll show at the end. This seems easy, and we thought so as well. Like, yeah, okay, we can just hook up a Fitbit to a screen and let's go. But no, because there are some challenges with that. So we kind of had to hack into the Fitbit API because they had discontinued Fitbit Studio, which we didn't really take into account when we bought the Fitbits. And we had to hook up the API to a Bluetooth protocol, which then sent it to a custom developed mobile app on iOS. And this mobile app needed to be able to connect to a local area network on a wireless basis. And that local area network needed to be installed in a garbage truck and would need to connect to a server. This server would need to run a JSON script that pulls in all of that data and pushes it to a custom visualization onto a massive screen that is also hooked up to this waste collection truck. So if somebody tells it like this or explains it to you like this, it's like, no, hey, that's pretty easy. And in the end, it does look like that, which is great. But our development partner had some issues with hacking the Fitbit. We had a ton of issues hooking up the wireless LAN box into the garbage truck and the server, and then visualizing this all on a very low refresh rate screen was also a pretty big challenge. So there was no sound on this, but this is kind of what we spent 2 entire days doing, trying to hook this up. We had to install like a separate secure box beneath the truck as well to house the server. This all needed to be connected every day because the truck comes in for service every day as well. And then in the end, it's live and magic happens, and we have a dashboard running on this truck. So our main challenges here were that it has to run locally, because we can't really rely on Wi-Fi or 4G networks or whatever. This truck was going through some very rural areas as well as city centers, so you can't really rely on it switching between mobile networks or Wi-Fi networks. It has to be displayed in real time. So the latency between all of those steps that I showed earlier, from the Fitbit to the Bluetooth to the iOS to the LAN network to the server to the JSON script pushing it to the TV, needed to be as seamless as possible. So we had to cut all latency wherever possible by removing as much data parsing as we possibly could. It's a custom Fitbit Studio application without Fitbit Studio still existing. So we used the basis of Fitbit Studio and kind of hacked into an old Fitbit like that, so we could hard code it into the Fitbit itself. So it's a custom app. And then a custom node.js application where we collected all of the data and pushed it towards the display, which is created with dynamic SVG animations on a server that's also housed in a waste collection truck, which is going through all kinds of weather conditions, all kinds of road conditions. And then, of course, mounting a large screen to a waste collection truck, which is not meant to be hooked up to a waste collection truck, as pretty much nothing really is. So what did we find out in the end? We really don't want to be waste collection workers, because every week our waste collection workers manage to perform over 68,000 steps, 15,000 calories. They have an average heart rate, and this is actually on the low end because one of them had an average heart rate of 123. But the average heart rate is 150, and they do about 52 kilometers every week during their shift. So that's pretty intense. So I can show you the spot or not. But yeah, okay, sure. I'll show it. It's in Dutch, so there might be one or two people here who might understand it. But it's mainly music, so you can see it. So we're kind of alluding to the fact that sports teams get all this respect, but these waste collection workers, they do such a hard job, and we kind of just ignore them, or we kind of disregard what they're doing. And then here we're showing the initial setup and how it's running through the city, how they're doing their job. You can see it clicking on while they're actually performing their job. We did this for an entire week to have a better representation of the actual results, because you can do this for a day or 2 days, but it doesn't really give a good view of what they do. And this gives a better picture of an entire work week, the kind of challenges they run into, what kind of distances they run, and how tough they're actually doing. There we go. And that's pretty much it. So yeah, it was a pretty tough setup. Mainly hardware-wise, it was very difficult to get everything connected and everything low latency. And then on the software end, we ran into quite a few issues with software being outdated on the Fitbit side, having all of that wireless connection, but it also needing to be local. And then, of course, yeah, the server being jostled around in a massive truck, which is something we have never done. And I'm going to be honest, we probably don't want to do again. But it was really fun. And we got a lot of interaction on this. So about 1.6 million video views. We've got like a whole bunch of people that wrote in to their local garbage waste collection agencies and stuff like that to send support. We had a lot of social interaction, a lot of more famous Flemish people who jumped on the campaign as well to support them. A lot of sports figures as well, showing their support and showing like, yeah, okay, this really is top level sports. There we go. So I think I've timed this relatively well. So I think we still have time for questions if there are any at all.
Knowing that you wouldn't do it again, you've answered mine. So thank you.
All right.
Laura, if you're talking, I think you're on mute.
Sorry, I'm good. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Adriaan, for sharing.
My pleasure.
Yeah, that's very cool. Misha, are you ready?
Yep. Just give me 1 sec. I'll share. Cool. So I'll talk a little bit about videos on the web and some of the challenges that our team faces, like doing this almost daily. So in the recent years, with the increasing number of video interactives, 3D interactives that we develop, and just generally video use in web projects, we have faced many challenges. So through those challenges, we've also developed some various creative ways to enhance the user experience and to solve some things that are technically not possible. So to me, as a technology lead at Fiction Tribe, the topic of videos on the web is becoming more and more interesting and important. So some key questions that we will explore today include scalability, what platforms to use, how to do things with the perfect, good cross-browser implementation, determining when it's appropriate to use video or let's say WebGL. Is it even ever appropriate to do so? And what we can discuss some creative opportunities that videos can provide. For instance, speaking of transparent videos, and whether it's even a reasonable and well-supported approach today. So without further ado, let's dive in. Okay, so what we're seeing in our project requirements lately is that video is almost becoming central to almost every website, interactive, landing page, whatever type of web project we're working on. So also example images on the right there from some of our recent projects at the agency. So we can talk about product showcases, background videos, even simple blades like hero components, headers of the websites, right? Interactive tutorials, feature demonstrations, storytelling elements. So, okay, so why are we diving into this today? For one, to understand some of the available tools. This can help us generate new ideas and see new opportunities. Two, with these new ideas and opportunities in mind, we need to make informed technical decisions. Three, building better video experiences as clients expect app-like performance on the web. So it's important to build with that in mind. And of course, optimizing performance at scale because for good user experience and cost effectiveness. And we'll touch base on cost effectiveness a little later in this presentation. So today I'll share our approaches, but I'll be very interested to hear some of the tricks you are using in your agencies to solve those challenges as well. So before we dive into the real video solutions, let's quickly touch base about the animations and evolution of web animation. So sometimes all we need to tell a story or to add some kind of interactivity to a page or to make it feel more alive, right, is just to use one simple animation. This, of course, brings us to GIFs. We all know GIFs. We use them in messengers, in chats, in et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, but I should say that we should avoid any urge to use them on the web today. Why? Because GIFs are extremely heavy. They provide lower quality output in comparison to other formats we can use today. And honestly, I can speak an hour about all the cons and negative sides of GIFs on the web, but I'll just say that we shouldn't be using them. So what are those modern alternatives to GIFs? So for one, it's WebP. WebP has been the king of web images for a while now. It provides great support across browsers. It supports animation, much better quality and compression, and it is much smaller in file size. Because when we are talking GIFs, we can look at like 20 megabytes, 30 megabytes in size, and this is just not appropriate for web today at all. So with WebP, we can mitigate some of those issues. So next one is a VIF. A VIF is a next-gen format. It provides an even smaller file size than WebP. In our measurements, it's about 50% smaller size. It also provides great output quality. It's growing in adoption and is generally a great alternative to WebP. But I should say that animated VIF files are not fully supported by all major browsers yet, so we definitely need to provide a fallback. So also, you will see that I'm providing little code blocks. You don't really have to pay too much attention to them. They are just very, very simplified examples of things. So number three, Lottie. Lottie is a vector-based animation library originally developed by Airbnb. It is great for UI elements, for very simple vector-based animations. But Lottie doesn't work for every case scenario, but definitely a great tool to have in our toolbox. It's important to remember that Lottie can actually be quite complex for the browser to render if the files become too large. Also, Lottie is using JSON as its format. You can export animations from After Effects or, let's say, from Figma even today. Yeah. But you should definitely test them in all browsers before going live with this. All right, so now let's talk about actual videos and their codecs and containers. Containers also are formats. First one being is H.264 is the most common one, universally supported, works in all major browsers. While it offers good compatibility, it's not the best in terms of quality or file size. Brings us to its successor, H.265. It offers better compression than H.264, is well supported. It also offers alpha channel support, so which means transparent videos. And much smaller file sizes at the same quality level as the previous one, H.264. VP9. VP9 is successor to VP8, developed by Google. Its format is WebM, so it's supported by all browsers that support WebM. And WebM is what WebP is to images, but WebM is that to videos. Good compression, though not as advanced as our next one, AV1. AV1 is the most modern codec, offers the best compression. It's specifically designed for the internet and is used by major platforms like Netflix, YouTube, and Vimeo. Great for streaming, not necessarily great for some other use cases. And I don't believe that AV1 supports alpha channel transparency. So speaking of alpha channel, let's talk a little bit about transparent videos. Transparent videos is not a yet overused feature. You will see how it is currently advertised by all major website builders like Wix, Webflow, and others. For quite a while, we stayed away from transparent videos at the agency, primarily because of a lack of support in all browsers and the complexity of asset preparation. But again, today things have gone a long way. So we can certainly use transparent videos now in all modern browsers. And it's also a great trick to have in our toolbox. So here's a quick demo of a transparent video. I just put together like a very simple landing page that shows the use of transparent video. You can check it out using this QR code on your mobile device, or I can send a link in chat so you can try it out on your desktop browser later. Let me know if I should stop or I should go forward. Cool. So speaking of web projects, we cannot forget about accessibility. Every year, we see a bigger need to make our projects more accessible, and this is equally true for videos. So when it comes to videos, there are a few things we can do to make them more accessible. So one, we can respect user preferences, especially things like reduced motion setting in the browsers. Two, we can provide captions and transcripts for the videos. Three, provide alternative content for the users who are not able to watch the video, for instance. So I will not go into too much detail here, but I wanted to mention these things because making things accessible on the web is important, and we should not forget about that. Moving on, another thing we can do to make videos more accessible is making them responsive. And I'm not just talking about scaling the 16:9 video player, let's say from YouTube, right, to fit on all screens. Sometimes we need to prepare separate versions of the video file for different devices. So in this example here, you will see how to fit our main subject on mobile phone, right, we need a separate version that is cut specifically for the mobile device. So we can do this for tablets too. So our general rule of thumb at the agency is to create 3 versions of the video, one vertical, one normal horizontal desktop 16:9, and the third one is a square. And square is this middle format we can use for devices that fall in between of those, or for like tall screens. Yeah, like I just mentioned, we can provide different versions of the video for different devices and screen sizes, a little code example on the left. And we can also adjust the quality of the video based on device and network speed. So while we can do this manually, like I'm showing this very, very basic simplified example here, there are also services that can do it for us, like Cloudflare Stream or Mux. But I will talk about them here in a second. So speaking of video infrastructure, it is one of the most important decisions we need to make when implementing videos on the web due to costs. So hosting the video on our own server has always been an option, of course, but let's talk a little bit about how this can drive the costs. So imagine that we have one video on our page. It's a 15 megabyte file. It's in our Hero Blade. I will make a note here. I'm not gonna talk about CDN here at all, so we can disregard that. So we have one video file, 15 megabytes. And let's say we are running paid ads on Google. We are driving about 10,000 visitors on the site per day. So this will total to 15 gigabytes of bandwidth or per day, or 450 gigs per month. So at an agency, we host our websites on Firebase, Google Cloud's hosting service. And their charge for bandwidth is, I think, 15 cents per gigabyte. So this will be about $70 for a month just for that video blade, right? So luckily, this can be avoided by using separate hosting environments for the videos outside of the page itself. So let's talk about those. Oh, actually, why don't we use YouTube first, right? So YouTube is great for some video player embeds within a page, but is certainly not suitable for anything more complex and custom. We don't have too much control over YouTube, and YouTube takes care of things, right? We're just relying on them. But just a few days ago, I was on the website where they were using YouTube video player for their Hero Blade. And instead of seeing the video, I was shown with an error message saying that I'm a bot. And things like this we cannot control. So the users might actually end up seeing your competitor's content or just recommended videos instead of actually seeing what you meant to be showing there, right? So ideally, we want to avoid that and not use YouTube as much as we can for our videos on the page. So this brings us to a few modern alternatives. Of course, we have traditional solutions like Amazon S3, Cloudflare R2, just those object storages. They are great and suitable for some case scenarios. We'll talk about them later. But right now, I want to focus on some streaming options, which just make our lives much easier when working with videos on the web. So starting with Cloudflare Stream, which is using similar infrastructure to what YouTube or Netflix is doing. So they are taking care of all those on-the-fly optimizations. So they're checking your internet connection speed and everything, and serving you the appropriate video quality, adjusting it on the fly, and Max is another one. Max is a bit more complex, but gives you a lot more control over the video quality, provides good API, and allows you to switch the quality of the video yourself, for instance. So it's important to know that both of these platforms, Cloudflare Stream and Max, provide you also with an MP4, direct MP4 file, which you can use to do all of those things yourself, like create your own preloading logic, change the resolution, and that's it. Okay, so now it's one of my favorite questions in the recent years, WebGL or video. We all know that WebGL is a very cool and a great way to add 3D to the website. If you go to any of the awards websites on the web, you will see a huge amount of amazing state-of-the-art WebGL experiences. But is WebGL always the best choice, or can we use a video to replace it? So let's take a look. Every time our creative team comes up to me with a new idea for 3D experience, first question is always, should we do this in WebGL? So let's take a look at the technical aspects of this decision. When I evaluate a new project, I always start with these questions. So for technical assessment, how complex is the desired 3D visualization? Can we achieve the same visual quality in WebGL? Sometimes it's not possible. Sometimes if we want some high fidelity, high quality look, WebGL is just not an option at all. Or it is too complex and too expensive to develop. Then do we need offline functionality? I will touch base on that later. what are the target devices and browsers? Is mobile performance critical? Some of the team capabilities questions. Do we even have WebGL expertise in-house? What's our timeline for implementation? Can we maintain this long-term? Do we have 3D asset creation resources? And even if we do have 3D asset creation resources, sometimes like working with the WebGL experiences, you need both teams actively engaging, like dev team and 3D team, together to constantly make changes to the assets, provide new exports, make adjustments, and so on. So it could become expensive. So business considerations: what is our budget? What's the project lifespan? How often will continue to make updates? Do some particular things need to be updated, or is it as is kind of thing? And some user requirements. So now, as we've identified some of those questions, we can start to make a decision. To simplify this a little bit, like I was saying, if you're looking for this high fidelity visual look, want some fixed animations, also offline might be important. Video might be a better choice. If you need more interactivity, custom camera controls, and low poly look can suffice, then WebGL is probably a better option. But again, there are a lot of different variables here to consider. Another one to consider is offline functionality. That has become an increasingly important thing working with our clients, is that they need some of those web experiences available offline for conferences and for events when the internet connection is not very reliable. So with WebGL, loading 3D models requires launching a server to avoid coarse issues, or I guess building as an Electron app. So you're a little bit limited, and it's a little bit harder to make the offline experience work well with WebGL. Or at least you need to provide some good documentation and instruction manuals to the client who will actually go to that conference and will use that experience. So video, on the other hand, makes things a little easier on this like offline functionality aspect. So hope you get this idea by now. Lots of variables in play, and it's important to weigh them all in before making such a decision. Either one can be more expensive or cheaper. So it will depend on the project. Okay, so now let's talk about some of the techniques we've learned to use when building some of those video interactive experiences. Starting with this one, video preloading with a blob. So preloading the video as a blob. It's a great way to solve any glitches or issues when we are actually trying to manipulate scrubbing or any types of video playback using JavaScript, for instance. So idea is pretty simple. We fetch the video as a blob, then create an object URL, and then we use it as the to place the SRC of the video element. This way, we can avoid issues with the video playback and have a very smooth and instant scrubbing experience. Downside is that it's requiring a lot of memory and some time to actually load the video fully initially. So we're creating some kind of loader before, and the user is waiting until everything is done for this experience to run smoothly. Some of this can be mitigated by splitting the video in multiple chunks and loading them on demand or when we need it. Next one is event management. It's very important to understand all of the events we can listen to on the video elements. I'm talking about just traditional HTML5 video element here, not a library like Video.js. Some of the events, important ones I mentioned in this code block, which are loaded metadata, can play through, progress, error. There are, of course, a lot more like seeking, time update, volume change, and others. And now it's one of my favorite topics is the reverse playback. So speaking of these challenges. So it might seem like a very simple task on the surface, but it actually proves to be a lot more challenging in the real world. So currently, HTML5 video player still does not support reverse playback. It's been like this for 20 years or so. So let's take a look at some approaches of addressing that issue and how we can actually reverse the video. And reversing the video, if you think about it, it's a very common task we need to achieve on the web. Because if you want to transition something backwards, you will see how a lot of websites just don't transition backwards at all. But if we're building some interactive scroll-based experience where we are playing some video sequence, right, we want to be able to also go backwards and see things reverse. So this part is generally not easy to achieve. So using Canvas is one way, and just generally, Canvas is one of the most common ways of interacting with video, and it essentially involves, the idea is pretty simple. We use the Canvas context to capture video frame by frame in real time, and we are redrawing all of those frames into the canvas and then doing whatever we want with them. So we are technically not even playing the video, we're just getting frame by frame and redrawing it, using some FPS of the initial video, the same one, and kind of recreating this playing experience. So if you wanted to reverse that, we will just manipulate the current time to step backwards through each frame. We subtract 1 by FPS number of frames per second, right? And the challenge here is always accuracy, because video current time 6 are not always frame perfect due to keyframe positioning in the video stream. So this means we might get slides off frame jumps, especially with like some higher compressed videos. So that's one way, achievable and proven to work by many websites that exist online. Another one is slightly more creative. This is something we've been using recently. So this technique actually involves not reversing the video at all and just playing the video forwards always, but pre-baking those reversed transitions into the same timeline of the main video. So let me try to explain this a little better. So you will see how we have the video timeline here. That's one video file, right? So there are 3 parts we can take a look at: 0, 0, 0, 319, for example. This is our forward transition, or 308 here. Yeah, it's our forward transition. Then the next, right after that, we go backward transition. So we are just baking this in Adobe Premiere or whenever we're actually editing this video. And then there is a content loop, for instance. If it still doesn't make sense, I will show you a visual example right after this. So when we need to transition between those sections, we are essentially just jumping to the correct timestamp. So we know we are going backwards. We have this data in our data attributes right here. And then we just go to that part of the video. We play it until the moment we know this transition is done. And then we move to the next one. So trade-offs, we need to plan these transitions during video production, and our file size will be larger. But the benefits in terms of performance and just reliability often outweigh these considerations. Okay, so in order to illustrate this example better, we put together a simple boilerplate that you can use for your next video scroll-based experience. This is on GitHub, and here's a little QR code for the demo. And I will actually show it to you right here. Let's see, share this tab instead. Can you see it? Yeah, I think you can. Cool. So I'll quickly refresh this. And like I was saying, right here, we are using just one single video file that we are, I'm scrolling currently. Let's say scrolling to the next section. We're playing another fragment, then playing another fragment. And then if I wanted to go back, it looks like we're reversing the video, but we're not. We're just playing a next segment of that video that is pre-baked. Yeah, so this concludes my presentation today. Happy to hear and answer any of the questions you might have.
Thank you, Misha. I think that went over a lot, man, but that was awesome. That's a deep dive on, but I think at the end, video matters, right? Like, and how do we keep doing that or be locked into the TikTok, Instagram Reels world? So controlling that brand experience with your own video is key.
Yeah, Adriaan.
Yeah, just a small question regarding loading speeds of video, because with the different formats that you show, like WebP and all of this, video sizes are getting more manageable. But how does the current version of browsers, the difference in browser loading, affect how you make decisions when you decide on formats? Because, for example, loading a video in Safari, Firefox, Chrome, anybody that uses Edge for some reason, like these will handle these file formats differently. How do you go about doing that?
So with simple things, nowadays we're just using Cloudflare Stream. It generally uses M3U8 and HLS, and their player just sort of handles it. We know that it's well supported by all browsers, and we don't really worry there. So we're using this for hero blades, for simple embeds instead of YouTube. But when it comes to more custom video interactives and such, right? So I wanted to include this in presentation, just showing you the current support of those major formats. And mostly like VP9 is not fully supported yet. Like H265, I think it's generally speaking a very, very safe one with the maybe. It's still smart to use a fallback to H264 everywhere we can, right? But we would just recommend using H265, or WebM is even the first one in that sequence of fallbacks.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate that, Misha. Grzegorz, are you ready to present?
Yes, of course. Please let me start sharing. Okay, I hope you can see the initial slide.
No, not yet, Grzegorz.
Not yet.
No share.
Okay. I can't share it. I have a message from the Google Meet I can't share. That's strange.
You could try sharing screen, maybe, if the window, sometimes the apps lock out.
Okay, so let me try last time to share the show, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Okay, so I'll just try to share the PowerPoint just to show you. Okay.
That I'm not preparing this year.
And we could, Grzegorz, if you have some technical things you can adjust, change your permissions. Rune, we could move you up to the slot 3, and Gregor will yell at me later as he yells at Google Meet. So
I'll be happy to.
Yeah, Gregor, is that okay? Do you want to? Because I think you'll probably have to go in and change your system permissions, exit the meeting, and then swing back in.
Okay. I'll try to then leave out and then come in again.
Yeah, Rune, why don't we boot up with you?
Absolutely. I remember last time when we had the exact same roundtable. I was preparing some salmon, so I kind of ended up sharing how to cut a salmon during the exact same issues. Anyway, I'll jump to something a little bit different. I'm not as technical as what we just saw, but I'll give you a few insights into some of the things that we use. One of the things that we use is hopefully Google Meet. You guys see my screen now?
No. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Perfect.
Great. Thanks a lot. Anyway, so I've got free tools and I have 3 cases that I'd like to share with you real quick. So first of them is something something called Neurons. It's a system that basically uses AI to test ads, websites, and so forth. Kind of like where it shows you where the eyeballs would go, kind of like an eyeball analysis. But it's entirely based on AI. And the reason that's relevant is because it just they doesn't charge you per thing, so they have an kind of like an annual fee. And some media agencies are currently using it, but we've got a subscription as well. And what I like to use it for is basically pitches. So sometimes when we pitch an ad, something like that, maybe in pitching competition even, it's kind of nice to be able to tell the client that we've already tested it. And that I'm able to do that because they don't charge per thing that I test. So basically, I can upload as much as I want and test anything. Now, is this the best kind of test results? No. But what it does give me is when the client says, well, I'm not really sure, I can say, well, we already tested it. And sometimes the fact that you tested something makes it for some reason better for the client. But what it also does is it gives me a few insights into, like, have I placed the logo in the right position? Where does it think that the eyeballs go? And the way that the system works is that they basically just tested thousands of ads and websites, and the AI then kind of mirrors the results from all of those tests when you upload your website or your social media ad or whatever. So that's one thing that we kind of like, especially for pitches. I hate when media agencies brings it up and say, well, your ad is wrong, you need to change this. Because one thing that the system does not understand is, for example, text. So if you have really catchy text, and will just to the system, it's just the text. The second system that I want to bring to your attention, I hope you guys are still there. Say yes.
Yes.
Great. So the second thing that I want to bring to your attention is something called ethos. And we use ethos when we want to collect insights from a large group, and we want it to be something that's interesting to present to the client. So, for example, we have a very large, I think the largest retailer here in Denmark, that got a new concept, and they wanted to roll it out internally first. And so what we did was we used ethos to make these small videos where we asked all of the 30,000 employees to ask a few questions and take pictures or small videos from their daily life. The concept from the client was everything matter. Basically, it was every kilometer we need to drive less. Every talent that gets promoted every. So it's kind of like a concept that says we're really much attention to detail and we care about basically everything. But what we did was we could then ask all of these employees to come up with small situations where they felt that they made a difference. And what the system allowed us to do was to generate all of these 30,000 videos and automatically combine them into larger videos with conclusions and automatically edit them into something that we could easily present to the client without spending time looking through all of that material and having to edit it for ourselves. Another great thing about it is that it has a really easy interface. So it works kind of like an SMS. So if you want to talk to a large group of people, getting them to start things up in an email and download a program and all of that, then it's just not going to happen. But in this, it's just, yeah, it is a really easy interface. So that's two of the systems. And now to something that I find a lot more interesting because I want to present to you, if you guys want, 2 ideas that we're currently working on for the Faroe Islands. To some of you guys, you know that we've done some pretty nice work for the Faroe Islands in the past. We've won more than 10 lions, for example. And here are 2 ideas that we're currently thinking about trying to do, and they're both kind of a lot about technology. So I'm hoping that you guys will, 7 minutes from now, tell me which idea you like the most, and we'll use you as kind of a small focus group. So here goes. I'll just read the script as we go along. We live our lives in ever-shrinking bubbles, controlled by algorithms and our own personal biases. In many ways, we're fast becoming prisoners in our own echo chambers, forgetting to think for ourselves. And when it comes to travel, modern culture is driving us all down the same one-way street. So, when we should be making the choices that help us explore the world ourselves, we end up the tourist trap of predictability. In the Faroe Islands, everyone tends to go here, here, and here, not realizing that it's just as pretty everywhere else. So, how do we go on a holiday from our holidays? How do we give our brains a boost in spirits and lifts and break free from the shackles of reputation and understimulation? Go somewhere unexpected. We've created this hero concept with a self-navigating car that will take you out of your comfort zone. And basically, you can rent. You'll be able to rent this car in the Faroe Islands, and you need to sign that you have to go where the car will take you. What did we sign up for? Well, I guess we're going to find out. We'll invite influencers, an ordinary mix of influencers and key in each from each key market, and take them to a trip they'll never forget. We can even plan things for them to try on the trip. As part of the filmic exploration, we'll invite expert anthropologists, neurologists to follow our interpretive explorers on their adventure. How will they react? How will it affect them? And what can we learn from this? Share it, so forth. All right, that was the first idea, introducing self-navigating cars. I know what all you guys are currently thinking. Well, is it self-driving cars? Nah, it's just a regular car, and we use a GPS and tell people to go where the GPS tells them to go. The only thing that's technological in this is that we create a system that will automatically send people into different directions. So we have heaps of pre-planned trips, and each time a person books a trip on a specific day, no one else will be able to take the same trip. So that's basically the technological part. And this is the second idea. The main attraction of the Faroe Islands is the magnificent nature. But in a world where most young people value video games over nature, how can the islands be relevant for the next generation of tourists? The young gamers spend 14% of their time playing video games on average, and the number increases year by year. So much that gaming disorder has now been classified as a disease by the World Health Organization. Fortnite is one of the world's most played games with more than 300 million registered users. And if they won't come to the Faroe Islands, it's time for the Faroe Islands to come to them. So we introduce the Fortnite Islands, a brand new map we created inside Fortnite where gamers play a copy of the Faroe Islands, including the location of the final scene with James Bond, No Time to Die. Actually, James Bond died in the Faroe Islands. Just a little fun fact here. The story was picked up by the news, hopefully. To get gamers to visit the Fortnite Islands, we set up tournaments where gamers competed about prizes to visit the Faroe Islands for real. But we had hidden a tiny demand in the terms and conditions. No gaming allowed during their stay in the Faroe Islands. After the initial shock, we sent them on a real adventure and encouraged them to tell other gamers about their experience. Seriously, I take a break from gaming and spend some time outside. I promise you, the real deal is even more beautiful. And that's how the Faroe Islands started a debate about the importance of getting out into nature inside the Fortnite community. Whoops, and one more slide, I believe. And got the next generation of tourists interested in the Faroe Islands. And that's where we go to group session. 2 ideas. People that like the first idea, put your hand up now. 2, from what I can tell. And people who like the second idea better, a little more, I believe. So we'll go for the Fortnite Islands.
What's the based on your research, do children help influence travel decisions for their parents? Like, is that a segment that would kind of build that curiosity around it?
I'm not sure, actually. I think the idea when we create these campaigns is we want to do something that generate PR. That's basically it. We want to do something where, because we don't have any marketing budget at all, so we want to do something that's so spectacular that it gets picked up by the press. And once it gets picked up by the press, we need that material that the press talks about our campaign. We need that to be nice, a nice way for the Faroe Islands. So, for example, if it's a Fortnite Island, we would make sure that the picture that the media would get would be one picture of the Fortnite Island and one picture of the actual Faroe Islands, so people could see that it looks completely the same, and so everyone would get, whoa, I want to visit that place, that looks magnificent. So it's basically, when we do these initiatives, it's basically a way to get stunning pictures of the Faroe Islands into the press, and normally have some kind of purpose to it as well. So normally talk into a global problem of some kind, so people would think that the Faroe Islands is not just a cool place, but maybe also a cool people.
I think, knowing my teenagers, and they seem to influence, like, hey, we want to go here and there, whoever they follow on Instagram or Snapchat. So I do think that the Fortnite idea could be interesting, that they are introduced to something new and then want to tell that story and share it. Is pretty conversation worthy, probably, to the gamer.
Do I have more time, or am I out of time?
No, we've got more time. We've got 5 minutes.
All right. In that case, I'm going to jump into something that's not really technological, but I'll show you a tool that's relevant for the case afterwards. But I want to share a little film here, and instead of, because films are always bad when you share them on screen, so I'm going to share a link with you in the comment section, and you now have 2 minutes and 20 seconds until I will start again. that's it. If you guys didn't finish the film, you were too slow at opening the video. But there's a couple of reasons why I want to bring that campaign to your attention. One is that it just won gold and bronze at the Epica Awards yesterday. It was a campaign that we did this summer for wonderful Copenhagen. And it's kind of my newest larger PR project. And so the first reason I want to bring the concept to your attention is that, as you saw in the film, it ends with a lot of other destinations have reached out to us. And I honestly believe that this concept has potential for Tribe and for Tribe members, because 20 different DMOs, including Berlin and London, has reached out to Wonderful Copenhagen, asking them, how can we do something similar? And basically, Wonderful Copenhagen didn't do this concept. We did. So they don't know a lot about how to do this. And currently, we're making CopenPay 2.0 for them for the next year, which will be more than twice the size. It will not just be for 4 weeks. It will be a lengthy. It will be for several months. And one of the major things that will include next year is transportation as well. So instead of just working on the destination, we will promote transportation. So for example, we will include a concept called the longer you stay, the less you pay, where we've got all of the Copenhagen hotels, or most of the Copenhagen hotels, to give discounts based on the duration of the stay, in order to try to get especially the Americans to not visit Copenhagen, Stockholm, and Oslo, for example, but to go to one place and thereby fly less. But we basically have a lot of insights to how to create a project like this. And currently we've sent in an application for a large EU fund, which will hopefully help us bring this project to other destinations. But in the meantime, to any of those 20 DMOs that have reached out to Wonderful Copenhagen and got their support, if you guys know a DMO that could be interested in something like this, feel free to reach out, and I'll be happy to give you some insights into how did we actually do it? What was the agreement that we made? Because none of the attractions were paid anything. They were basically in this concept because they could get some out of it for themselves. And one insight that I can share with you right now, for example, is maybe you saw that there were these blue boats sailing around where you could pick up trash from the canals. Now, what we did with them was basically we said, well, in the morning from 9 to 10, our guess is that you don't have a lot of rentals, because no people will go and rent a boat in the early morning. So if you let people go out in a boat for free for half an hour and collect trash, we can promote it through our CopenPay concept. And what then happened was, of course, that people came and went out for half an hour. They were grouped between different countries, so it was kind of like also a multicultural thing where they got to know new people who were also visiting Copenhagen. But people then, many of those people then decided to have a longer rent than half an hour. So the boat ended up renting out more boats in the morning where they had excess capacity. We got more than a ton trash collected from the canals, and the tourists got a fantastic experience. So that was a kind of agreements that we did with the CopenPay, with heaps of different attractions. And for my last tool related to this CopenPay concept was, you probably saw that there was kind of a lot of PR coverage. And I don't know if you guys do PR campaigns at all, but it's my main thing. And one tool that I basically couldn't live without, maybe you're familiar with it, but it's called Coverage Book. It's fairly simple. I can maybe show you right now, if I can share my screen real quick again here. Here you go. That will probably take a sec. You see my screen now?
Yep.
And this right here is my coverage book for Copenhagen. And basically all I need to do to add coverage is paste in a link. It can also help me find the coverage. And what I like about this is that I can basically share then all of the coverage with my client in a pretty fast and pretty nice looking way. Because it will make a summary for me where I can see how many pieces of coverage did this particular campaign have, what was the online readership, how many engagement, how many it also works with social media, for example, estimated views, TV views, online, organic, and so forth. And it will automatically take screenshots and have videos of all of that coverage inside the coverage book. So for me, that just makes it a whole lot easier to make that reporting for the client afterwards. That's it. 3 tools I like to work with,
Cool.
and 3 ideas.
Thank
No
you.
more for me.
I'm signing up the coverage book right now. Grzegorz, you want to fire it up?
Let's try now, and we'll see. Yeah.
Perfect.
I think now it works. So I'd like to tell you a few words from a different perspective, from different angle, because I'd like to show you the story how clients category changed and we changed together with them. And it's a category that is very close to me because it's banking. I'd like to show you what we did, what tech environment we built for BNP Paribas, and a few words about us. We are a company that exists on the market for 30 years, and we are a bit different agency because we are solely focused on the sales targets of our customers. So we are not doing, or we are doing very few of image work. We are just focusing on the projects, on the activities that are finishing with the sales. It doesn't mean that we are not creative. We are, but probably it's a bit different angle of creativity. So let's start from the category from banks. Banks are a category that has changed enormously recently. I was working something like 13 years ago. I was working for 9 years for banks, and I saw that 20 years ago, banks were very distant from customers. They were basing on the branches network of branches mainly. The online banking was crawling. They started to move from being cash-driven business to the cashless payments and other stuff. There were ATMs on the streets, but in fact, people, if they wanted to do something with their bank, they had to go to branches, or they can, of course, use the debit card to cash out their money from ATMs. But time has changed, and has changed dramatically because banks became omni-channel. And this is not only in terms of sales channels, but in terms of contact channels as well. I can't remember when I was at my bank at branch of my bank, probably when I was opening the account, but a lot of us are dealing now through mobile applications, through website banking, digital banking. And as all the banks adopted the same manners, the banking industry became commodity. And regardless of what bank you are banking with, usually you've got the same products. And banks became a daily part of our routine. We can check our balance on the mobile app, and we don't have to queue in the branch, so we can do this quite quickly, and we can split the bills with our friends. We can send money to the kids. So it's really things that 20 years ago we couldn't even think about. So banks become a relation business, not transactional business. That was 20 years ago. We just came to do something and came out from the branch or just took cash from the ATM. But banks started to follow an enormous number of relations we have with them, with their applications, with their online banking, with them as talking to call center because there is a CRM and people are typing the notes into CRM, and banks started to gather a lot of the data. And in fact, they started to quickly realize that the data are real value of their business. And there was a huge paradigm shift, because banks moved from brick and mortar companies in the real world that they just sell you their offer into a companies where UX and UI of online banking and mobile applications became one of critical factors to choose from. Banks that are digital, and there are some banks that are purely digital. We know them as well. Probably in each of our countries there are such a banks. And what is also important, the offer of the banks, and it was commodity, they started to fight on the area of value-added services. And currently, for example, when I open a mobile application of my bank, I can purchase public transport tickets, train tickets, gift cards to PlayStation, Netflix, and stuff like that, and a lot of set of services, not mentioning the whole FX stuff, when I can buy from 100 currencies over the world, just having my phone and open a proper account in proper currency. So this paradigm shift also changed the way how agencies work with the bank. And later on, there was a whole trinity. Risk, especially value at risk, legal and compliance, which means that each and every activity you did with the bank had to be signed off by all of these three departments. While risk was, let's say, at the beginning of the way and just tell you whether it can be done or not. But then each and every single piece of work, each and every type of activity was checked by legal, whether it's legal, and by compliance, whether it's in line with bank internal regulation, which of course you as an agency, as a vendor didn't know, but you had to comply with. So it was, a very interesting conversation because you didn't know what to benchmark to, but you had to follow some rules. But anyway, it was a gameplay from years, and we all got used to this. But on the top of that, recently, there was an IT security factor. And it's a very important factor because they can veto everything. And a lot of banks pay premium from the number of vulnerabilities that they have in their software solutions. I mean, the insurance premium. That's why their sign-off was so important. And it completely breaks the table and changed the gameplay, because a lot of companies couldn't follow this and stopped to work with the banks. And the banks, and it also changed a lot from the bank's perspective, because banks, in fact, became big IT companies. Of course, they have to keep our money safe. They have to take our deposits. They have to lend us the money. But still, they are now big IT companies. And it was a huge shift that when we realized the work was much easier. I was working at the bank. That's why Hagen's clients at the beginning of our activity were banks only, because I know how to how to talk with these guys. I know how to acquire them. I know what were their needs that could be hardly fulfilled on the market. We started to work from the banks. We started from different things. We started, for example, work for them on CRM areas, on CRM activities, CRM campaigns. And a few years afterwards, they say, fine, I like your job, but we started to build our own teams because it's a very fruitful job. So we will not be working at the CRM. They started to hire people. They started to hire, to buy very expensive software like SAS, IBM SPSS Modeler, and so on, and started to create their own models and propensity models, next best offer models, stuff like this. And very quickly, those guys said, I mean, those data specialists said, it's very nice work, but the number of data we can build models on is limited. Please give us more data. And our clients came back to us, perhaps now we can you can help us to give our people more data. And we said, of course, we will. And we started to discuss what we can do. And what we did after years is 4-pillar solutions that at the end of these solutions, still there are the data we deliver them, the data that enrich our business, which is extremely important because BNP, which I'm talking to about now, is a top 5 bank in Poland, but bank that have been created on the back of the merger of 5 different institutions, BNP and 4 smaller banks. So as you can imagine, there were many challenges for them to merge. They didn't finish one merger, started another, because it was a time on the market that they had to merge to get the scale. That's why they said, all right, so we need some pieces of software. You can build this for us, because we don't simply have a time, because we still have mergers. And then we've got PMO that prioritizes jobs that are legal based. We have to follow some legal changes, and we can't build marketing software. So please help us to do this. And we said, yeah, we are happy to do so. And started from the beginning. 10 years ago, we built quite a huge environment covering those 4 areas of retail customers, business customers, prospects, and their own sales staff. And we built it, and as I mapped this software recently, I was really surprised that it's so comprehensive. Of course, it's not 100% of their needs, because a lot of companies works for them, but it's quite a comprehensive map. And here, these are the biggest pieces. These are 7 pieces of software. Of course, we build it more. We build more software, but smaller ones. And what is important, because it was a company that was founded on the backs of 5 companies, all of these softwares are not built on the same technological stack, which can seem strange, but it was, the requirement from the client side. Some people got used to work on such a technological stack, another on a different technological stack, and we had to have in mind also that all of this software needs to be checked and is regularly checked by IT security. So it's ongoingly improved as far as new vulnerabilities are announced on the market. So it's really huge work. And I'd like to tell you a few words about 3 biggest pieces: event platform, promo, infrastructure, and CRM, and offer guide, because there are different stakeholders there, and the systems are much different. Event platform was a bit faster than pandemic. It was, let's say, end of 2019 when we started to work on this with BNP. They just wanted to migrate. After one of the mergers, they just wanted to migrate all of their events to one environment. And they didn't know how to do this. And we used platform. We will build a platform for them that enables them to manage online, offline, and hybrid events. From the state that we are managing all of the invitations, participations, registrations, the data, of course, we process this data safely, and it's very important because they disallow agencies to work on the cloud when they transform their data. So we had to buy servers, we had to create a small cluster of our own servers, we had to collocate the servers into a very safe data center they compute to. So it was an effort from technological point of view. We had to create this hardware stack and then let them audit it and approve. So it needs to be somehow scalable. It needs to be effective, because we have to have online events there. For example, when you've got 3 when you've got several hundred people on the event. And those events, of course, we could stream video there. It could be our own stream. It could be bank's own stream. For example, they've got their WebEx solution that they are using. We can place WebEx, embed WebEx here. But of course, if this is a bigger event in terms of realizational capabilities, we can take any stream and embed this on our platform. After event, we can have questionnaires there. There is a chat during the event. So this is quite comprehensive tool. And what is also important, there is we can also segment participants. We can move some participants to offline part of the event and enable the rest of the participants to participate only in online part. There is a very comprehensive reporting scheme behind. We can see how much time each of the participants spent on this. This information comes to the sales staff, and they can discuss the client. They have a reason to call the client. Did you like our event? And what you think about it, and so on and so forth. And it's used for big webinars and for small panels. So it's very versatile tool. Another thing, the first thing we built is a promo infrastructure and CRM. This is basically the infrastructure that we parameterize, build, and launch all the bank acquisition online promotions there. And we manage confirmations and stuff like this. So we are open to throughput of the entries that Media House guarantees. And then we create our website and our technological infrastructure to put certain people to certain drawers with certain promotions. We run up to 40 promotions annually, so it needs to be quite scalable solution. And what is important, it is manageable by people with close to zero IT skill, because just to launch the promotion, you don't need IT skill. We just working on templates. We are working on very few tweaks on the code, and everything is parameterizable. So you can create your promotion, add some graphics, add some text, and then you can launch it. We need IT guys only to funnel the data to proper places in our database. And on the basis of this software, we also built mini operational CRM for a bank. Because, of course, we are running the promotions. People should call and write to us with any questions, but sometimes the habit is much stronger than the words that are on the screen. So people call bank, and that's why bank had to have a tool that people can authenticate and say, all right, I'm participating in the promotion. Could you please check the conditions for me? And when you give your personal ID number, there's a client card, because we implemented single customer view, and you could see in how many promotions customers took part, what kind of conditions they need to meet to receive the awards. And there are also some technical informations for bank staff. So it's ongoingly developed software. We are using this for 7 years, almost over 7 years. And because at the beginning we done just manually promotion after the promotion, but then as we started to build it, it's much bigger and bigger, and it's really very helpful. And of course, it automatizes a lot of the time that we can charge the client as it's our time. So it's very good. And the last piece of software I would like to show you is a software that we built for sales staff. It is an offer guide. It structures the process of sales conversation with the end customer. So when you've got customer in your branch, You just put the tablet when there is an application, and start part of conversation part. You just select the type of the customer, whether this is individual business, agro, or premium customer, and then you are talking about the needs, and by tapping certain needs, you are going after and after inside the script. The finish is, of course, that the system will bring you the number of products that meets all of the need meet all of the needs the customer has, and then, of course, you can send this product cards to the email address of your customer. What is also important, of course, it's very simple, but and it's just by tapping and going screen after screen. It's quite simple, but the biggest asset of this software is that central headquarters staff can very simply measure the sales process. How many second minutes is dedicated to each part of the process. They can compare it with the sales results. They can conclude some very important insights and share with the teams all over the network of branches, and they can improve the way how they sell their products and how to be most efficient. So on the basis of this, it's very easy to share the best practices from the people from best branches to the people who can't perform so well, because all of the activity there is measured. Of course, when customer would like to go shortcuts, and I know that I'm here because I would like to have, let's say, make some deposit or whatever, it's possible. But when you've got a customer that got some needs and the product is not very specifically precise, it's a very good tool because it can help you structure everything, and then it can help people from the head office to create the conclusions about and improve the process of selling. Basically, what is important, we are working with this IT security on an ongoing basis. Each week, they scan all of our softwares. We are very responsive to their needs. We are very responsive to legal and compliance. And that's why bank decided to give us, just out of the tender, as a token of appreciation, a very good order, very good service. We built that especially for all of their marketing activities. We built a proxy server. So each company, regardless, so each external vendor, regardless of its size, has to go through our server, which means that we can very quickly observe what they are doing, how from technological point of view, and what in terms of content-related things. So we can keep the finger on the pulse to see if we are not doing anything, then what anyone could propose to do this. And we can see, and we can adjust, and we can react and propose next activities. Of course, still over 80% of marketing websites are ours. But then we see what winning their hearts in other areas. It's very important because it's very important from safety, because we can override their headers, we can override content security policies thanks to this proxy server, we can override a lot of things that less developed companies couldn't deal with. And we have to do this, of course, but our biggest advantage is that we can clearly see what others are doing for them and can counter-propose in later days. So it's very, very, very good. So that's the end of this adventure we had throughout the 12 years of the cooperation, where from very small vendor, we became a vendor who is technologically advanced to the extent that can build a lot of services for them, can have a common proxy server when the bank had to delegate subdomains to us and stuff like this. and we can fulfill all of the IT security requirements to deliver the second biggest bank in Europe with the pieces of software that meets their criteria, and it's a kind of benchmark for other agencies.
I appreciate you sharing, Grzegorz. That's cool.
Thank you.
Big.
Do you have any questions? No, thank you, Misha.
Yeah, my only question, what cloud platform are you building on? Was there a requirement there?
No, they said they mustn't have, we mustn't use cloud platform.
All resident, is there a certain tech stack that you had to comply with? Did you choose that? Like, are you running on Microsoft servers?
No,
Or Linux?
no, we are using mainly open source things, different technologies for different softwares, and we are using this simply because of they openly asked. Yes, you can use Microsoft. We have to pay for this. We will be doing less number of softwares, but can you please assure us that you will meet our IT security requirements with open source? If yes, we will do more with you.
Yeah,
that was the pitch. We just try to fulfill, and we did it.
I appreciate everyone presenting today, so thank you. It was a very broad, diverse set of presentations we saw, but I thought it was really awesome. So thanks to everyone for sharing. And we'll be doing this in Q2 next year, 25, so about half a year. And looking forward to that. Thanks again, everyone. Enjoyed the presentations. And we will be sharing this recording and those presentations as well. So if the presenters could send me their PDFs or Google links, then we'll be good. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.